Conspiracy theories around President JFK's murder are plentiful, but are they just theories? Who would stand to gain from the ruthless slaying of one of America's most beloved presidents? While the Warren Commission may have closed the book on the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, the truth remains elusive. Inconsistencies abound, witnesses silenced, and whispers of mafia involvement linger in the shadows. But here's the kicker: classified documents surrounding the assassination are still under lock and key, shielded from public scrutiny. What secrets lie within these classified files? Join us as we peel back the layers of deception and uncover the hidden truths behind one of America's most notorious events, the murder of President John F. Kennedy. In this video, we will open the history books and examine the cold, hard facts, critically analyzing the assassination and its aftermath. So stay tuned to find out some deeply buried truths many don't know. A lot of people think the conspiracy theory surrounding the assassination of John F. Kennedy is one of the most head-scratching ones in existence. Understanding the underlying reason is vital before diving into the abundance of facts that may surprise you. There are reports of security protocols being ignored or altered, and some folks even say that Lee Harvey Oswald was set up or that evidence was tampered with. Medical professionals who treated JFK also have some important insights into the assassination. Dr. Charles Crenshaw, for example, claims that JFK had a frontal entry wound, which contradicts the official autopsy findings. And then there's the disappearance of critical X-rays and photographs, which raises suspicions of a cover-up. But perhaps the most chilling part of this story is the mysterious deaths and questionable actions of individuals connected to the assassination. There are reports of witnesses, journalists, and medical personnel dying under suspicious circumstances. And some folks even allege that the CIA was involved in intimidation and coercion to keep people quiet. When you put all these pieces together, it's clear that there's more to JFK's assassination than meets the eye. And until we uncover all the facts, the mystery will continue to baffle and intrigue us. So, why would the CIA possibly be in collaboration with other government officials and contemplate such a drastic action as eliminating their own president? Such an act, if proven, would forever tarnish America's reputation and entail monumental risks. Therefore, this audacious and treasonous plan must have been a significant driving force. Let's start in Cuba's Varadero Beach, about 2 hours from Havana. Here, French journalist Jean Daniel finds himself conversing with none other than Fidel Castro, the Cuban leader whom the CIA relentlessly sought to eliminate. As they engage in dialogue, news arrives that someone has attempted to assassinate John F. Kennedy. Castro, who had previously expressed optimism about JFK's potential for peaceful resolutions, suddenly realizes that everything has changed. The prospect of peace talks with the Soviet Union evaporates, and the Cold War's flames continue to burn. In March 1962, General Lyman Lemnitzer, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, presented a plan known as Operation Northwoods to Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. This plan is a perfect example of the way some people in the American military and intelligence agencies think. Operation Northwoods suggests a false flag operation in which a fake enemy event would force a counterattack. The plan called for attacking US military bases, saying Cuba did it, and trying to change people's minds to get support for an invasion. Some members of the military and the CIA had already strained JFK's connections before the Bay of Pigs tragedy. After the attempt failed, those who wanted Kennedy to implement their plans were furious because he refused to send troops. John F. Kennedy was reluctant to escalate the situation despite requests about Vietnam and Cuba. Most of his advisors advocated for more aggressive tactics, which was at odds with his approach. After John F. Kennedy was killed, the course changed in a big way. The Gulf of Tonkin incident gave the US forces a reason to get more involved in Vietnam. The next resolution, the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, gave the president broad powers to go to war, which made the situation much worse. Now, Lee Harvey Oswald's story is like a puzzle with missing pieces. It's 1957 and Oswald decides to leave the United States to join the Soviet Union, a country that's seen as America's enemy. This move is a big deal because back then being a communist was not popular in the US. But what's even more interesting is that before all this, Oswald had been in the military, working with marine radar at a base in Japan, where the CIA was up to some serious spy activities. After leaving the Marines and going to the Soviet Union, Oswald somehow manages to return to the US without any trouble. It raises eyebrows and makes people wonder if he had some help from people in high places. Now here's where it gets even more intriguing. Oswald had access to secret information, like keeping an eye on U-2 spy plane communications. It suggests he might have been involved in spying, maybe even more than we know. But when the Warren Commission looked into JFK's assassination, they didn't dig deep enough into Oswald's ties to the CIA or his work with the U-2 program. Some authorities think they deliberately ignored these undertakings. To add another twist, Oswald was hanging around places in Japan where the CIA was partaking in some pretty shady experiments with mind control. It's like something out of a spy movie. Plus, when Oswald came back to the US, it just so happened that a U-2 plane got shot down by the Soviets. Coincidence? Some folks don't think so. Oswald had connections with people who were rumored to be CIA handlers. He was mixed up in a world of spies and secrets. All these strange connections and unanswered questions make you wonder, what was Oswald really up to? Was he working for someone? And did his actions have anything to do with JFK's assassination? Now let's talk about William King Harvey. He was a Yale graduate who didn't like communists. Additionally, he was head of the CIA's assassination program. Harvey was involved in all sorts of covert operations, like trying to catch Nazi scientists and investigating people suspected of spying for the Soviets. Later on, Harvey got into even darker stuff, like planning assassinations and kidnappings for the CIA. He had a team keeping tabs on Oswald for years before JFK was killed, but the Warren Commission never found out about it. That's pretty suspicious, don't you think? Then there's Ann Egerter, who worked with Harvey. She talked about this file they had on Oswald, suggesting he might have been working for the CIA all along. Not to mention Jim Wilcott, who used to work for the CIA and spilled the beans about Oswald being a CIA spy. Wilcott was so fed up with what was happening that he quit the CIA. But wait, there's more. Richard Case Nagel, who worked as a double agent for the CIA, said he knew about the plot to kill JFK. He even tried to warn the FBI about it. Nagel thought Oswald was being set up to take the fall for something he didn't do. Some believe Thomas Arthur Vallée was also set up to be an innocent victim like Oswald. But the plot thickens even more when you hear about eyewitnesses who saw Oswald or someone who looked like him partaking in certain suspicious activities, like that time at Redbird Airfield, or when someone overheard people talking about killing the president. Now let's examine the events surrounding JFK's assassination in more detail. There was a lot of strange coincidences that happened, and it's worth exploring each piece of the puzzle to try to make sense of it all. First off, let's talk about Charmaine, a woman whose death raises some serious questions. Found lying in the road next to a pile of suitcases, her autopsy revealed she had been shot in the head, but she had been seen hanging around with Cuban CIA operatives before her death, making folks wonder if she was involved in some more extensive clandestine operation. And she's not the only one. There's also Sergio Smith, who had ties to Cuban exiles and had been arrested for plotting an assassination in Venezuela. But it's not just shady characters that make this story so compelling. It's also the eyewitness accounts that seem to contradict the official narrative. Take Julia Ann Mercer, for example. She claims she saw a man with a rifle case near Dealey Plaza, and she even identified Jack Ruby as the driver of a suspicious truck. But when you look at the police reports and witness statements, there are all sorts of discrepancies that suggest someone might be trying to cover something up. What's your thought on this case? Do let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.